Hey there, and welcome back to another episode of Networking and Marketing Made Simple. Super excited for today's episode. If you're listening to this in the morning, it's not too late. You can still register for my final free 5-day LinkedIn workshop of the year. It is from today, June 10th, through Friday, June 14th. We're going to be going over, how to set up your profile, connecting, messaging, searching, sales call structure, in addition to, creating a content schedule for yourself of what to be posting on there. And then obviously putting a bow on it and putting that into my 20-minute a day routine that I have patented and have been teaching for the last 12 years. The other reason why I'm excited for today is I'm finally feeling better. So I know this is a different type of episode. It's not specific to LinkedIn in general, but it does have to do with the power of networking and the power of building connections. So I'm going to rewind the tape a few years ago, probably 2021-ish. Um, and I was in a group coaching mastermind, and I ended up being asked to do a bonus training on how to use LinkedIn. The group knew that was my specialty, my zone of genius, and they said, "Would you mind doing a complimentary, workshop or just info session?" I said, "Absolutely." So I do it, and I get an email from one of the attendees saying, "Love everything that you spoke about today. I've been meaning to learn how to leverage LinkedIn. Do you work one-on-one with people?" And I emailed, "Absolutely, yes." And got on a call, and this person ended up becoming a client. Her name is April Patui, um, and she's incredible. Her company is called Light Beamers. I've actually had her on the podcast before, but the whole point is that every connection matters. Every connection that you make matters. Every conversation that you have matters. And the client coach relationship that April and I started about 4 years ago mattered and still matters to this day. We became fast friends, um, a great referral source for each other, passing business back and forth. And, we would talk once a month just for accountability purposes, just to catch up. And I'd fill her in on anything new. She would share anything that was going on with her. And I found myself, as Nancy and I always do, we always look for masterminds to join every year. We're always looking to up level ourselves. We've been a part of 4 different masterminds and, took something away from each of them, whether it was good, bad, or indifferent. But at the end of every year, I would always, April and I would like bounce off each other, have you heard any masterminds? And, you know, her and her husband Kyle are both entrepreneurs. They do have some overlapping business together, but they have separate businesses, much like Nancy and I do. Nancy has her company, I have my company, and then we run a company together. And I kept telling April, it would be great to find a mastermind that was specifically for couples that were in business together, but also married. And I would say, and more in the advanced stages of business. Nancy and I have been in business for almost 8 years now. So we just couldn't, and it was the same conversation every year. Every year was the same conversation. So fast forward to November of 2023, end of last year. We were having the same conversation again. And April said to me, she goes, "Scott, you know what they say, if you can't find it, create it yourself." And I'm like, there it is. So April and I agreed we would first hop on a call with our significant others, myself, Nancy, Kyle, and April. And we would brainstorm this idea of creating our own mastermind for couples that were married in life and in business. So we got on this call and we kind of laid out feelings, thoughts, ideas, and I gave a deadline to April and she gave it back to me 2 weeks to get a total of 5 couples. So myself, April, and Kyle, and then we would have 3 other couples that would fit the mold of what we were looking to have in this mastermind. So she put a post out there, I put a post out there, and got immediate responses. People are like, oh my God, I've been looking for something like this. But we didn't want to go overkill. We wanted to really kind of test the waters with this. But lo and behold, it didn't take us 14 days. Within a week, we had ourselves, the 4 of us, and 3 other couples committed. And the way that we wanted to set this up was we would support each other in our businesses, but also in our relationships, create a safe place for each other. So the way that we designed it was we would meet in person once a quarter, Q1, Q2, Q3, Q4, at different locations around the country. And we agreed to New Hope, Pennsylvania in Q1, Park City, Utah, Q2, the Adirondacks in New York in Q3, and either Austin or San Antonio in Q4. And we just said to the couples, like, listen, you have to commit to being in person for every single one of these, plus a monthly meetup virtually in between the in-person, because we wanted to create that connection. We started a Slack channel. I purchased the domain couplesinbusinessmastermind.com just to kind of put it out there that let's bring something to fruition. So as we started to have our virtual meetups beginning in January, there was immediate synergy with this group. Immediate. Now, we all did different stuff. We all have different zones of genius, but we all had some core foundational things that connected us. So as we began these once a month virtual meetups, January, February, March, April was our first in-person meetup in New Hope, Pennsylvania, which was great, but we took a lot away from it. We didn't have enough time. People arrived Thursday night, Friday, and then there was masterminding on half of Friday, Saturday, and everybody went home Sunday. Wasn't enough time. Still great takeaways, good being together, but we knew that we could do more. So we agreed that moving forward, the in-person meetups, we would do our best to be there at some point Thursday, either Thursday evening, Thursday afternoon. We would mastermind Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, and we would all go home on Monday. And that's exactly what we did for our Park City, Utah trip, which was at this point a little over a week ago. So this is where things start to get interesting. Now, I'm going to start with the challenges that Nancy and I faced. Well, first and foremost, we never expected to get COVID, which we did. I started to feel a little bit, I would say, iffy on last Monday, about a week ago. Took a test Tuesday, positive immediately. Nancy and I were in bed Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday. 3 straight days. Thank God for the Harry Potter series. It made the days go very fast. Started to feel better by Friday. Saturday got better. Sunday got better. Here we are Monday feeling great. So first and foremost, I just want to say I'm grateful for my body and my health and the way that we respond and recover. And, you can hear my voice. It's not 100%, but I couldn't even talk earlier in the week. So I would say that was the biggest challenge that we faced, getting sick after, but getting out there. And this is where Nancy and I have learned a very simple rule that we can't get frustrated about things that we can't control. So we initially were supposed to fly out there on Thursday evening, so a week ago this past Thursday. And there is no direct flight from Philadelphia to Salt Lake City and then on to Park City. You have to fly into connecting airports. We were going to fly into Dallas and then Dallas into Salt Lake City. And we would get in pretty late, probably around midnight, which was fine because we would be there. Then we would have all day Friday, Saturday, Sunday. So as Thursday is rolling on, I'm getting all these updates from American Airlines that flights are delayed, this, that, or the other. Dallas had to cancel a ton of flights, blah, blah, blah. And they said, rebook your flight for free, fly out tomorrow instead. And I said, Nance, it's not really worth it to get in at 2, 3 o'clock in the morning. We'll be exhausted, plus the time difference. Let's just rebook for tomorrow morning. She's like, agreed. So I rebook our flight for Friday morning, 7:30, not too early, not too late, to Chicago, and then Chicago over to Salt Lake City. We would get in around noon, which is great. And then we would head over to the house from there, and we get there before 1 o'clock. Awesome. Have most of Friday. Now, so our flight, and it's just the way that synergies work. So our flight was at 7:30. We like to get to the airport 2 hours ahead of time, which means we want to be there by 5:30. Which means we have to leave the house by around 4:45. Takes about 45 minutes to get to the airport, which in essence, if I would have woken up at 4, given us 45 minutes to get ready, boom, out the door. But I wanted to get a workout in, so I got up at 3. And this is where things got interesting. I get up at 3 o'clock because I wanted to work out in the morning. I didn't have to, but I chose to. And there was a notification on my phone from American Airlines that our flight from Philly to Chicago had been completely canceled. Totally. And we were rebooked on a flight from Philadelphia to LAX at 6 a.m., which means, again, my 2-hour rule, I would have to be at the airport by 4 o'clock. It was now 3 o'clock, which means we had 15 minutes to finish packing and get ready. So our day already started in a panic. Now, the interesting thing was the way that we got rebooked, we were flying all the way to LAX, leaving at 6 a.m. We would arrive in LAX at 8:30 in the morning, and then we had a 10-hour layover until 6:30 p.m. to then fly to Salt Lake City, and we wouldn't get there till 8:30 at night. And I'm like, we're not doing this. So I rebooked the connecting flight to go to Arizona and then Arizona to Salt Lake City. We ended up getting in at 3:30 in the afternoon, which was much better than 8:30. But we were on 3 planes in one day, which probably could account for how we got COVID. Potentially. We don't know. But we just had to roll with it. So I had never taken 2 connecting flights, so we were bouncing around a lot, but we just had to lean into it. We checked our bags and just crossed our fingers that both of our bags would show up. But anyway, we got there, had a beautiful ride from Park City, or from Salt Lake City to Park City. Friday, everybody was still arriving and getting things done, so we barbecued and just started connecting, and everybody kind of called it an early night. Everybody was pretty tired. And then Saturday, we got ready to work. And this is where the connections are so key. So one of the couples, George and Tracy, who I love dearly, they're couples coaches, mindset, spirituality, money, all that stuff. And it's just the way that things are connected. So they were connected and introduced to us by a client of myself and Nancy, Carol Pilkington, who's an amazing, amazing spiritual coach. And she saw my post and she introduced us. So the whole thing is if I never connected with Carol, if she never came into our program, I would have never had the opportunity for Nancy and I to meet George and Tracy. Melanie and Sean. Melanie and I actually knew each other for about 10 years back in our network marketing days. We've stayed connected. And her and Sean, her husband, they started a business together about a year or so ago. She reached out, boom, she's in. Kyle and April became very friendly with the Armstrongs, Keith and Melissa, who own a shipping company. And they met at a mastermind event. became fast friends, both lived in the San Antonio area. They wanted in immediately. Everybody was looking for the same thing. They were looking for community. They were looking for connection. They were looking for people that understood them. And this is the first time that Nancy and I had really been a part of something in person in a really, really long time. And it was just so magical, so magical. And just to kind of give you the layout of what we did, Saturday and Sunday were our two mastermind days. So Saturday we woke up, I did my normal morning workout, and then we did some qigong just to kind of get our energy right. And then we sat down, and each couple got 30 to 45 minutes to kind of share what they're working on, what they need, and what help that they wanted. So we had 5 couples, so you kind of do the math there, about 45 minutes each couple. You're talking about 4.5 hours right there. And we started at around 10 o'clock in the morning. We did a little bit of a lunch break, and then we would have about a 15-minute potty break in between each couple. And by the time we were done, it was around 4 o'clock, 4:30 in the afternoon. We had a 7 o'clock dinner reservation, so we kind of broke up, showered, got ready, and we stayed in this beautiful, beautiful townhome right in the center of Park City. And if you have not been to Park City, Utah, I highly advise it. Just incredible. So we all get ready, and then we go couple places down from where we were staying, about a 2-minute walk to a place called the Saloon to grab a drink before dinner. We were going to a steakhouse that night. Went to a steakhouse, and we sat at a beautiful round table in the middle of the restaurant. And Tracy, Trottenberg, Kansas, beautiful facilitator, said, let's all go around the room and tell the group 5 things that we don't know about each other. 5 things that you would not, normally know. So we all went around, and that literally took up the entire dinner. And there were so many overlapping and over intersecting things. We realized that almost all of us had saved someone, rescued someone. 3 people from drowning, myself included. I saved someone from drowning my freshman year of high school. But we all had these like connection points. It was just incredible to hear all the different stories that we were all sharing with each other. So you get to know each other on such a deeper level. And that's the key to networking. That's the key to connecting and building these relationships. Your network is your net worth, right? It leads to so many other opportunities. So we have a great dinner. We're there. We close the place down. We're there till about, 10:30 at night. We go back, we pack it in for the day. We wake up Sunday. We start off with some qigong again. And then this was probably the most impactful day, because what we did was we sat we had this beautiful kitchen table, sat all 10 of us, and each spouse got to share what their spouse's superpowers were. So Nancy would say, here are Scott's superpowers. And then, the group would say, Scott, did you want to add anything else to your superpowers? And then that individual would basically share what they felt were their additional superpowers. And then the group would also chime in and say, well, here's what I notice about you. Here's what I feel are some of your additional superpowers. So we were all writing down, each other's superpowers, and so many deeper layers were unfolding during this, because it created such a safe space of vulnerability for us to share so many deep things with each other. And again, it just created an additional level of connection, of trust, of community, and love. Like, we literally all love each other. Like, we've become fast friends. When you spend that kind of time with people and you open up and you share that vulnerability and that trust with that tight-knit group of people that you're with, it does amazing things. And that was most of the day. It was a very emotional day. A lot of tears were shed in the best ways possible. And we just realized that we created such a harmonious community. And obviously we're talking about doing it bigger and better for any couple out there in business together that wants to, be a part of our tribe. if it's something that we choose to do later on down the line, but we still have some pieces to put together. But that's how we spent most of the afternoon on Sunday. Then we had a little excursion in the afternoon. April had put it together, and there's something called the St. Regis, which is a very, very famous hotel chain, very, very upscale, and it's at one of the peaks of in Park City. And you take this trolley all the way up, and we had some drinks and we had some appetizers, and then they actually have at 6 o'clock. We had a 6:30 dinner reservation. They have a sabering, which is basically a bottle of champagne, and if you've never seen it, there's a sword. It's called a saber, and in 3 strokes, you basically uncork the champagne and you share a glass of champagne. And George, Kansas, Tracy's husband, offered his services he's always wanted to do it, so he did it. And so we're sitting atop this mountain overlooking Park City, and George sabers the cork off of this bottle of champagne, and it was just such an epic experience that we all got to share together. We then move on to dinner. We have a great dinner that night and come back, and we kind of debrief from the weekend, and then we all go home on Monday. And then obviously I filled the gaps from there. Nancy and I got sick, and that was the rest of our week. But I just want to really encourage you, if you're listening to this, if you've gotten away from networking, if you've gotten away from jumping on discovery calls with people, you may be missing a big piece and huge key to your continued and ongoing success in your business. I can absolutely predicate everything that Nancy and I are doing, the people that we have in our life, the business that we're growing and scaling, because of the connections that we've made, the relationships that we have built. And I just wanted to share this story with you because I wanted to show you how the 6 degrees of separations is real. Because I connected with someone way back in the day when I had an online streaming show that ended up being a part of this group coaching mastermind that invited me to a free training on it, which enabled me to join, which then allowed Nancy and I to get into this sphere, which allowed me to do this free group training, which put April in front of me. She then hired me. We built a fast friendship, and then we started this. It's just one thing leads to another. There's a purpose behind every single person that you meet. You may not know right now what that purpose is, but you got to continue to dive into it to see what's there. And one person leads to the next, leads to the next, leads to the next. And that's why I always come back to the power of LinkedIn, because a lot of this has happened because of LinkedIn. And that's why it's a networking platform. It's where people build connections, build relationships, referral partnerships, joint ventures, all different things, collaboration. Remember, Wallace D. Wattles says, instead of living in a world of competition and comparison, live in a world of creation and collaboration. So I just wanted to share that feedback, those takeaways, those big aha moments from our mastermind retreat in Park City, Utah. We're meeting up again in September in the Adirondacks, actually at Tracy and George's beautiful lake house, and cannot wait for that. It's going to be amazing. And if you don't have a community, seek it out there. And if you can't find it, create it yourself. That's exactly what Nancy, myself, Kyle, April, Tracy, George, Sean, Melanie, Keith, Melissa did. We created our own community, and we know it's going to expand into something bigger and better. We just don't know what that is yet. Now, one last time, if you'd like to join the free LinkedIn workshop all this week, go to the description of this episode. I'm going to be teaching some of these networking tactics to really build that online Rolodex of connections that can lead to your next opportunity, to your next client, to your next sale, and to that next step, next level of your business. So again, go to the description of the episode. I hope you found today's episode helpful. Love and gratitude, and I'll talk to you next time.